to get it to a certain point, and your business is really ready for that next level. You know your message is meant for more people. Know your message. You are meant to reach more people, and that's really what this is all about today. So such a smart panel of women that we've got here that are going to bring very different perspectives as we look at this. And um, it looks like okay. Jessica said you can't. I'm just checking here because Jessica wrote she couldn't record at first, but I think we are recording now. So.
Mm.
Yeah, looks like we're good here. Okay, thanks, Jessica. I'm going to make sure we have the recording because I know we've got some people that are looking for the recording on the flip side of this. So I'm Cami Gilner. If you haven't had an opportunity to meet me yet, I am a business coach for change maker women who are taking their business to that next level, helping them raise up their voice and their visibility and growing their business in a way that helps them fall in love with their business all over again. And I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs right now. I believe that um, our message, and we're all being called to step up in bigger ways to share our best work, to create that ripple effect. I think we're leading the change in how business is done. And this panel here is a panel of women that can really help you think through how you're growing and building your business. So, as you guys are logging on, would you please just drop into the chat box your name and where you're joining us from, and just a little bit about what you do. So guys can get to know one another and have an opportunity to follow up with one another on the flip side of all of this. So as we dive in today, let me introduce you to our panelists. So first we've got Shayla Boyd Gill, and she is the creator of the $250,000 Crisis, a leadership inflection point where its six figures quietly change the rules of growth. Shayla helps high-performing women articulate the leadership shift required to scale with clarity, discernment, and experience-led environments. Welcome, Shayla. And next we have Marky Reed. Marky is known as the powerful pricing maximizer. She brings more than 30 years of experience helping entrepreneurs align pricing with ambition and impact. Through her SEED program, SEED, Seed Code System, she helps women build businesses that prosper while supporting the life they want to lead. And then Sheena White is the founder of Pretty Smart Business and Your Pocket CFO, and known as the Queen of Profitability. Sheena helps service-based entrepreneurs strengthen their financial foundation and build profitable businesses through her Empire framework. So, if you guys are excited to hear from these women, drop into the chat that yes, I'm ready. I'm excited to hear from them. And let's dive in. So I was thinking about as we were as I was prepping for this call today, I was wanting to look at some of the stats that's going on for women entrepreneurs. Right now, women own roughly 39% of US businesses, and there are more than 14 million women-owned businesses in the US. And women-owned businesses generate approximately 2.7 trillion in revenue annually. So a lot of dollars that we're generating as women entrepreneurs. And in fact, we are starting businesses. Women are starting businesses faster at a faster pace than male-founded businesses in recent years. So it's exciting to be a part of that, right? And I'm so fortunate and blessed to be parts of different women entrepreneur communities where we're seeing this and we're seeing the growth, we're seeing the commitment to our work, and we know we're here to do really important work and make an impact with our work. But here's some of the things I want you to think about as well. About 88% of women-owned businesses generate under $100,000 annually. Roughly 12% of women-owned businesses reach six figures, and only around 5% generate between 150 and 250. Approximately 2.4% reach 250 to 500, approximately 1.9 reach 500 to a million, and roughly 1.7 to 2 percentage, depending where you look at numbers, cross over the $1 million mark. So this gap really ties to what we're going to be talking about today. How do we scale our business? How do we grow our businesses to that next level? And how do we, whether it's we'll be looking at business models. Another thing that can impact us is raising capital, visibility, support systems, all the things that help us scale our businesses to that next level. And that leap from being that successful expert to that visible thought leader so that you're known as the go-to person in your space, that's what's really going to help you set up the scalability of your business. And so when we're building businesses and we want to step into bigger rooms and bigger visibility and stronger positioning, this is how we start to build more scalable business models. All these pieces fit together. So it's a nice compilation of these pieces that we fit together. And this is why I'm so excited about this panel, because we're all coming at it from a very our own unique perspectives. So I'm going to start off with a question for the panel. And the first question that I've got for you is, when your business begins to expand and reach more people, how do you recognize that your business model is no longer fully aligned, and what starts to break down first? So Shayla, I'm going to kick off with you.
Really good question.
Uh-huh.
And we see this a lot. We have that place where we're becoming more visible and that desire to expand at the same time, but it comes with a little bit of pressure. And the reality is we're often not prepared for the pressure. The pressures that we're looking at is you have more success and you have to look good on the outside, like everything's put together well, but on the inside things are not matching. So the things that may not be matching within that business when you're getting more visibility is you have these opportunities that are coming. You have people paying attention. You have people asking more of you, but you
Hmm.
may not have the support behind you to be able to step into these places that allow the expansion that you're asking for. And so, in the cases with that, you often see women that we're winging it, right? We all know how to wing it because we probably had to wing it to get to like your first six figures. So they'll assume that, okay, maybe my problem is I need to be more visible. I need to fix my messaging. They never really look to see, is the foundation really supporting this
Right.
growth and the expansion that I'm looking for? It's so easy to look at these the ads that are coming your way. Someone has a new course. I have the fix for this. I have the solution for this visibility. I can fix your messaging. This new tool can be the solution. And you'll try it, you'll buy it, you'll run against hitting that same wall because you've not fixed the foundation. So for me, like I have a background in construction engineering technology. So I'm
Mm,
always thinking of what's my foundation? I cannot build a structure bigger than the foundation was meant to support.
that's
No matter
beautiful.
how many levels you try to put on it, no matter what reinforcement you put around it, if the foundation is weak, meaning the base of your business, if your back end is weak, no matter how many bows and whistles and bells you put on it, it's going to fall. You're going to crash. You're going to hit this wall. So the expansion is not going to be as smooth as people sell it to you.
Right.
We can't
Right.
expand something that's not meant to expand. So
What are
if
those
you,
foundational pieces that you like to build to?
yeah, so for me, it's like when I'm looking at your foundation, you know, what is the support behind you? Are we in the place where we're still solo? Do we have someone else supporting? And then do you know how to lead them?
Yeah.
Are you even prepared for the possibility of expanding? Can they dream as big as you dream? Do they even have an awareness vision is that you have for yourself? Oftentimes, our growth goal is in here, but we've never been taught how to share that goal so that it's a win for everyone that's supporting us. And then, even looking at when you're looking at your foundation, looking at your systems, what systems are you using? What systems have you outgrown? And
Yeah.
we'll talk about this a little bit more, but with growth, sometimes you have to have releasing that goes along with that.
Totally.
What are the things that you have to let go of that you've outgrown that you're
Yeah.
holding like this
Yeah.
because you believe this is the only way that I can go? So that
Yeah.
visibility comes at a price,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to
Absolutely.
be painful, but you have
Yeah.
to have an awareness
Yeah. And being
to
able
be
to
able to
to
grow.
be able to turn the dials where it needs to be turned is what I often say. It's like
Absolutely.
we're turning the dials where it
you,
needs to
you,
be
you got
turned.
to tweak all along the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
not get stuck in this place of there's only one way. There's
Yeah.
never just one way.
That's so very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Shayla.
You're
How about
welcome.
you, Sheena?
So I think a lot of it has to do with being ready to, Shayla was just talking about releasing, and I'll go deeper into that, being ready to allow other people to do some stuff.
Yes.
Because I
It's like,
think
ooh, I have to release.
yeah, when we're first starting a business, generally speaking, we're doing it all, right? So
Mhm.
we are the chief cook and bottle washer. So we have to do everything. But as you're growing, you can't continue to do everything, right? Because you have your own capacity. And so you really have to decide, what are the things that I can hire out? And what are the things you have to get team? So I remember even for me, this was really difficult. And it's been, gosh, 2 years now since I hired my first team member. And I remember telling my husband, I was like, oh no, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And he was like, you're not fine. He's like, you're working from sun up to sundown. You're stressed to the max. You're trying to put more in. He's like, you are not fine. Please hire someone. You must hire someone. And now having 5 team members, I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Why did I not do this sooner? And it really led to the biggest expansion of my business. So now I'm like, okay, how do I hire more team members? How do I literally do as little as possible, which sounds kind of crazy, but in reality, when you're growing your business bigger and you're having your message be bigger, you have to embody that message. So if you're
Totally.
talking about growth, you then have to like let go of everything that somebody else can do because you're not the only one who could do it. I promise you, you really aren't. Even if it's something that seems so technical, I promise you, you can teach someone else to do it. But the only person who can really embody your message is you. So then that needs to be your focus, is embodying your message, becoming that person who has that bigger business. And you need to truly embody that CEO role and be the designer of your business, not the doer. And you need to have a team of doers. It's really deciding, okay, who's my next doer? How do I help those people? And it's really great because then you're not just feeding your family, you're feeding a whole bunch of other families. And so it's really awesome.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you, Sheena. How about you, Marky?
They both said so many good things. I want you to actually repeat the question for me so that I'm
Yeah,
clear
yeah.
about what I'm actually responding to.
Yeah, so the question is when your business begins to expand and reach more people, how do you recognize that your business model is no longer fully aligned and what starts to break down first?
Oh, okay. So the what came to me when you said that question the first time was if you are busy, like your schedule is full, but you're really still struggling financially, like that you're not paying yourself regularly or you're not paying yourself enough. Those to me are some of the signs because what it means is that you've got a lot of people coming in, but you probably haven't adjusted your pricing and or your offers to really be handling the traffic as well as really selecting for the folks that are your better fit clients. So all the things that Shayla and Sheena said are I would agree with wholeheartedly in terms of your teaming, you're building your team and all that. But I think that too many of us think that we just need to fill our schedule to grow. And it's not, and we can fill our schedule with all the doing, like all the other stuff, but we can also just fill our schedule with billable time. And that's not really true growth. That's just filling your calendar. So I won't go into more because both Shayla and Sheila said a whole lot of good stuff in there that I agree with. So
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Marky. The other things I'll just add to this, when I start looking at, this place where you've grown your business to a certain level and you're ready to go to that next level, a couple of symptoms I see happening is one, we start to outgrow even our existing products. We've got products that we've created for a current set of customers, but we may be actually, our whole customer base may even be shifting. We may be shifting into a higher level customer. Our messaging may be shifting. So all of this shift really starts to happen. And so there's a lot of pausing that needs to take place. Like, am I actually still speaking to my ideal clients? Has that changed? And if so, like what's how do I actually own this specific space, this marketplace that is my voice, that I'm here to serve? So finding clarity in that I think can be really important. And the the offers, and I think that one of the things that I see happening is as we grow our businesses, we start adding lots of products into the mix. And then suddenly we have too many products, right? And Shayla hit on this. It's like the simplification of how do we let go of some of the products and really create that pathway for our customer journeys to serve our clients in a way and know that not all the products that we built along the way is what we need to get our clients to the next space. So really finding the clarity in what's the products that actually serve our clients and where they are today. I think that's a big one. So simplify is always a big thing for me when I'm looking at businesses at this level, and it's how do we simplify our markets, making sure that we're serving the ideal client. How do we simplify our products? How do we simplify our marketing? And find with our marketing, what we're really wanting to do is find a rhythm of how we're attracting clients into our business. So what's that ideal rhythm that we do in our marketing that's repeatable so that we can keep attracting our ideal clients in, but we build the systems underneath of that to make those repeatable marketing efforts. It's not something that we have to recreate every single time, but we've got the systems in place. So that's another piece of that. I think that's what I've got for that part of it. Let me go to this next question, and and we're going to go to this next question, and I want to just invite the everybody who's here know that after this question, after we answer this question, we're going to open up to questions from the audience. We've got a few questions that were submitted beforehand that we'll cover, but we'll have space to allow you guys to ask some questions as well. So after we finish this next round of questions, know that you're going to have an opportunity to submit questions. So if something's popping up for you, jot it down so that you can submit it when we get to that place. Okay, so Market, I'm going to stay with you on this one. What is the most important shift you need to make in your offers and your pricing or structure to bring your visibility, opportunities, and revenue back into alignment?
I think it's really about letting go of things, right? As you grow and recognizing there's things that we do in the beginning because somebody told us we were supposed to do them. We think we should do them. They sounded great at the moment. They even were probably true for us at that moment. But then we changed and grew, really, which kind of along the theme of this panel today, and recognizing when it's time to let things go. What early in my business we had, I've been in business for 30 years. I've had all kinds of iterations of things that I've done. And we never really let go of stuff for the longest time. We kept adding things. Kept adding more and more different kind of services and divisions, and we had all these different names and all these things. And then there was a point when our entire team, we had about 7 people on our team, all left within about a 3 or 4 week period of time for all good reasons. Like none of it was bad stuff, just they all just disappeared. And it was just myself and my business partner. And we had to, first of all, we said, what would we tell our clients? Because if we were our own client, and we just really looked at the things that we loved more than other things, and we let go of whole huge chunks. There were a couple of other competitors in the area that I said, hey, by the way, we're no longer offering the service. I'm going to send anyone that calls me about this to you. And it was such a relief because it felt like a kind of a clean slate to then really grow into who I had become. We were
Mhm.
about 10 years into business at that time. And I think that too many of us feel like we have to say yes to whatever comes in, or to the people that maybe knew us when we first started and we've changed and we say, oh, yes, of course, I still do that. When you could say no, and you can prosper somebody else by referring it out. If it's really
Yeah.
not core to who you are anymore, is allowing yourself to refer things out. And then, I think that being in business is one of the most amazing self-discovery journeys that any of us
Oh,
will be on.
totally.
And when we true up ourselves, like the beginning, we do things we often think we should do, where somebody told us, our coach or our program that we graduated from. And as we mature, we true up in terms of saying, I don't really like that anymore. That does not open up my heart and I do not enjoy it. Well, I'm technically good at it. I do not really want to be doing it. And allowing that inner voice to be speaking out loud to yourself, allowing yourself to let go of things that really aren't a reflection. Because if you've been in business for more than 5 years, you've grown. You've changed. You're a completely different person. Like what is it? In every 7 years, all the cells in our body completely regenerate anyway. You're at least half, 3/4 of the way into being a brand new person 5 years in. And I think that it's important to take those times to reflect and step back and think about that to see what's true for me now and how do I step forward into that.
I love that so much because I think that's as we're on this journey, we are always shifting and changing every single year. We're just incrementally changing. And so I think those pauses are so powerful in reflecting and, who am I really becoming? Who am I growing into? And how am I meant to serve and, with the gifts of who I am? And that's where the power really is in those pauses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Marky. Sheena, how about you?
Well, I was thinking, when you were asking the question, I was thinking about, margins. So, which is my one of my favorite words, margins. So I remember way back when I had a concrete repair coating and polishing company. And 3 years into that business, we actually found out our accountant was embezzling all of our tax money. It was so bad. That's actually how I got into accounting because I didn't trust anyone and so I took it over. But in that process of taking over all the finances in the business and really understanding them, I started to look at all the different things we were offering and saying to myself, like, okay, am I making money at this?
Yeah. So
And you need
important, right?
to,
It's like such an
yeah.
important conversation.
But sometimes you just do things and you just offer it because, like Marky said, "Oh, maybe somebody told you to, or this thing, or oh, everybody else is doing it. It sounds great." Is you really have to say to yourself, okay, is this offering making me money? Not top line revenue, because I'm thinking of specifically one offer we had. We had a ton of top line revenue, but once we took out all of the labor associated with it, all of the materials, all of the things associated with producing that, and then our overhead percentage, it really didn't actually make us any money. So then it's like, okay, why am I marketing this thing? Why am I spending money to market something that doesn't make me money?
Right. Right.
So we stopped, and it's one of the reasons that we were able to add $100,000 in profit in 1 year to the business was just not necessarily completely stopping things, but stopping promoting and marketing things that weren't making us any money.
Yeah.
And
So
really
smart.
focusing on what are the things that are going to make you money. And then if all your things make you money, then what are the things you enjoy the most?
Yeah.
What lights you up? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to share with the world? Because if you have, 50 things you could talk about, what are the two or three that really make you happy? And focus on that. Because at the end of the day, you're your own boss for a reason,
Yeah. It's so, I
right?
mean,
So you
I
get to
love this,
choose.
Sheena, so much because I went through a cost of goods sold exercise on all my products about 3 years ago, and it was really insightful. It was like eye-opening and like, why am I doing this product in this way? Or what can I do that can streamline
Hmm.
this? And I was able to make really good decisions based on that.
Yeah. Well, and like I even recently had my biggest client fired me and I was like totally freaked out for about an hour. And then I did the math and I was like, "Oh my gosh, while this client is paying me the most every month, they're actually paying me the least per hour because I'm spending so much time with them because it just had
Mm,
so much scope creep because they've been a client for like 2.5 years, so much scope creep, so much bloating." And I was like, "Oh, this is the biggest blessing. Like, thank you so much for firing me because I can fill that in and spend so much less time and make so much more money." So, yeah, just
brilliant.
really doing the analysis.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Shayla, how about you?
I love what's been stated already. And I think I can summarize this well by saying the biggest shift is you're going from proving your demand to actually supporting the demand in a good way in the business. And the
Mm,
way I think about this is a lot of women are they're marketing, they're trying to be visible and they're trying to convince people. The big word is convince. You're trying to
mhm.
convince people to pay attention. But when you get clearer and as you're simplifying those things, I think of a client that I had that was in graphics. And so she would do graphic design for very little, like $50, $100. And she had to constantly say, "See me, see me, see me, look at me, hi world, I'm out here, this is what I'm doing." And what we really had to look at was what are you really good at doing? What's going to maximize the time that you have and get you the most money, and you'll still enjoy it. And so we repositioned her, the type of work that she did, more into a branding and graphic design, packaging. And so she had clearer positioning, so she wasn't waving to the world saying, I'm here like a commodity. People weren't saying any, mini, miny, mo, because she was clear. She simplified the offers, as everyone has said. So it was only two options. You couldn't go through the a la carte menu. You had to go with one or two options. The pricing was what it was. She had stronger boundaries. She said no because the other calls were still coming in saying, hey, could you do this flyer for the church? Absolutely not. We can't do this. But this also allowed her to have better support and support her health, support her timing, and enjoy the business and grow the business. And what it really sums up is when you simplify, you better position yourself, you are very clear on what you're doing, you can have better invitations. You're no longer trying to sell like everyone else. You're inviting people into your world, into your ecosystem that you really desire to work with, that makes sense for you to work with. And it no longer feels like a chore or a burden. So I say this because if you're looking at visibility and expansion, the key word that people are saying in marketing is like, you want to scale. And they think if you scale, you have to have a lot more clients. But sometimes scaling is just having better invitations and better opportunities. Even with fewer clients, you have a better experience overall for you and the people that you're supporting. So I think we can
Mm.
wrap this up with a bow that says that we can get out of this place of feeling like we have to do more because that's our default mechanism. But instead, we can consider doing less of the right things.
Yes.
We can do less with the right things and still have a greater experience overall.
Oh, so brilliant. Love it so much. Yeah, I think the more that we can do of the right things and what I'm hearing you saying also is that we're turning up the dial on who we're serving. So we're not serving the $50 offers over and over and over again because that would be exhausting. It's like really elevating who you serve, how you serve them and showing up in that way. So powerful. Thank you, Shayla. Yeah, the only other thing is I'll add to that is as you are taking your business to that next level, you're really stepping into that next level of who you are. And it's like, Marky was talking about that we're stopping and we're pausing and we're making that space, but it's also like what is it that you're stepping into, that you're growing into? And that's the place where we acknowledge the leader that you are, the leader that you are here to serve the people that you serve, and you really start to embody your message. And Sheena hit on this is like embodying your message. I'm all about it's like how do you actually move and walk and let your message come from you? That's where the power is because you get to then walk onto a stage or walk into the room and be the expert in your space so that people are leaning in and they're feeling who you are. And that's where the power of this next level of you and your business when you've made these taking these steps to put the right people around you and make space for yourself so that you can go be the leader in your business with your voice. That's where when you're embodying your message where people really start to lean in and say, gosh, I want more of that. And that's where it really starts to come to you. Okay, so now we're at a point, you guys, where you can submit some questions. I'm going to start with Pamela submitted a question in. And she said, how do you recognize when it's time to reduce, simplify, and intentionally let go of parts of your business? So how do you know when it's the right time to reduce, simplify, and intentionally let go of parts of your business? Whoever wants to jump in on that.
I'll jump in. Um,
Okay.
Number one, mistakes are starting to happen. So
Mm,
if things are being delayed, if you have mistakes that continue to happen, they're repetitive, if you find yourself feeling kind of about your process or something that's happening in the business, it's a great indicator that number one, you need to pause and really take that assessment of what's really happening here. Where do I feel like I'm not being supported, or where do I feel underwhelmed in the business? And really identify those areas, and that they're going to highlight themselves. whether it's you don't have enough support, or if it's the system as we talked about, or if it's, your process that worked before for intaking everyone no longer works. You're dropping the ball somewhere. Clients are not happy somewhere. You know the signs. You start seeing these little seeds being planted, and it's up to you to make sure you don't let those weeds grow too fast. You have to
Mm,
get them right
it's
when
a
you
good way
start
to
seeing
put
that
it.
first little sprout.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, Sheila. Thank you. I mean, I like the visual of the little weeds that are popping up that are they're really getting into our garden, and then we can acknowledge that they're there and we can make those changes. So I love it.
Yeah. I
Um,
think one of the weeds that we often ignore is the feelings we have around resentments that we don't express. Like,
oh,
we start to feel, oh, that client, like what Sheena was saying about the client that left, it felt like a big deal when that person left, and then she realized, oh my gosh, what a relief. And I pay attention to what I complain about, like to my husband, right, or to people who are not my clients or not in my business. If I hear myself complaining more and more about a particular person, process, thing, something I'm doing in my business that I created, right? Because this is like I'm the one that made it up. Um, and we both, my husband and I, have kind of a monitoring with each other if we're volunteering for something, and every time you leave one of those the meetings for whatever it is you're volunteering for, and all you have is complaints and resentments about it, it's time to probably leave,
yeah.
or to do something really different. And I think it's true in our business too, is that pay attention to the things that you aren't really voicing out loud, but you're sighing heavily, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're kvetching to your friends about. It's the stuff that we feel like we're not supposed to complain about, but we
Yeah.
do anyway, or
Yeah.
we're not supposed to feel it, but we do it anyway. Those are all clues, because complaints to me are clues to solutions. If
Mm,
I flip a complaint to a request, then I have a solution. So if I'm complaining about, my systems are breaking down, or I feel like I'm just running all over the place, well, then if I switch it to what would I have instead, then I have an opportunity to really put in some solutions for myself that will support me in either letting go of something, recreating something, hiring somebody, really shifting what I'm doing. And sometimes you need a vacation to get a little attitude adjustment and
yeah.
just get away, right?
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, and the wasted energy that if we catch ourselves complaining, it's wasted energy that's pulling us down energetically. So,
Yeah.
that's definitely something to watch and know that those are clues. I love that. Sheena?
Yeah, I was thinking too, to piggyback on what Marky was saying, look at who you're jealous of.
Ah,
So, because jealousy actually is a judgment,
hmm,
and it's a judgment to yourself. So I think it was Brene Brown who was talking about, looking at who you're judging, and that's actually a judgment on yourself. But I take that one step further and say, who am I jealous of, and why? And what is that saying about what I want? Because I feel like jealousy is me saying, okay, I'm jealous of them because they have something I don't have that I want. So then I say to myself, okay, what is it about like their business, their relationship, their whatever that they have that I want? And then how can I get that? So if
awesome.
you're seeing somebody and they're, they have a lot of time in their business or it seems simple or whatever, be like, oh, say to yourself, okay, what is it about that I'm wanting? And how can I create that in my own life and in my own business?
Mm, brilliant. Love it. Love it. Love it. So Sherry just submitted a question here. I'm hesitant to invest in a service that promises to help me in many areas. I'm a solopreneur and need someone else doing some of the stuff. And needs to get stuff off her plate, right? I'm not sure the question I want to ask. It's around what are the tips on choosing a good fit service provider for those things to take off of your plate? Um, one thing I'll just start off with on this, Sherry, is just to get really clear about where do you need help in your business? Where are you spending duplicate time every single week that you can get off of your plate? So that's one way to look at it. And then when you start to go to choose, really be specific about what you're looking for and be very specific about these are the skill sets I need. These are the type of person that will fit good on my team that will help support this. And then go talk to people. Like, don't just hire the first person, talk to, multiple people. So that's one thing I'll throw in there. Who else would like? Sheena, do you have something you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would be very, yeah, specifically very clear on what you're looking for. And the one thing that I caught on this is she said someone who is a service that promises to help me in many areas.
Hmm.
I have found that if you are a jack of all trades, you are a master of none. So be really clear that, where is this service really going to fit in? And if they're going to take so many things off, are they actually going to be able to produce that? I don't know. That's a kind of a red flag to me. So really saying to yourself, okay, who do I need? And then finding somebody who is the master of that that's going to help you with that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want someone who's just going to be kind of mid-level at it, especially if you're paying them. You want somebody who's going to be great.
Awesome. Great advice. Um, Marky or Shayla, do you have anything else to add to
Yeah, I
that?
think, well, first of all, I think it's have a little sense of humor that the first few people that you're going to hire will be mistakes. Just just let it be. It won't be perfect the first time because it's impossible. Most of the time, we hire people that are too much like ourselves. And we actually want to, like, we feel like we have to replace ourselves in some way. But my blind spots are their blind spots. And then they actually don't, they either don't want to do the work that I want them to do or they're not good at it the same way that I'm not. The other thing I think that uh, the specialist is more important than the generalist. I at one time like I used to have a in-person office assistant, and she told me she could do bookkeeping, and I think I was without somebody at that time to do my accounting, and I thought, all right, well that's fine. Well, first of all, she had no idea what she was really doing. I spent more time trying to explain things that I didn't fully understand in my system, and I quickly said, no, you're just going to focus on these things that I hired you for in the first place. Because when we dilute what they're doing, then they're not really good at anything, really, like what Sheena said. And I think the other piece is to, when you do hire by mistake, do some post analysis about what wasn't the right fit. Was it a personality conflict? Was it they really lacked the skills? Was it they didn't have the depth of experience that you really needed? And then look very and then may force yourself to write a job description about the things that you really need. Sometimes, and the warning I'll give about job descriptions is sometimes we write job descriptions in response to mistakes we made, and then we like just like you see this in employee handbooks all the time. There'll be something very specific, like you can never wear a yellow scarf. It's because somebody wore a yellow scarf as their only piece of clothing in casual Friday, and then like that became the rule, right? So there's sometimes we get hooked on little tiny weird things that we don't ever want to have happen again, but they become a hard and fast rule rather than a guideline for us. And
Hmm.
mostly keep your sense of humor. It's okay to make mistakes when you hire people. By making a few mistakes, you'll get really good at finding the right people. And just like give yourself some space about it and don't make it be perfect.
So good. So good. How about you, Shayla?
I'll add to that. I love the humor piece. And the big summary of all of this is having enough clarity. If you're not clear, you can't expect the wonders from the people that you're bringing in to work with you. We often forget to point the finger back to ourselves as the leaders and the CEO in our business. So many times you'll hear people say, oh, this type of person doesn't work or this type of service doesn't work. What really doesn't work is people can't guess what's in your head, and you've not been able to clearly tell them what the expectations are. So, one of the things you may want to do is, if you've not done it already, start documenting your processes so that there is something that can be followed. There are expectations that are set. There's data there, so we know what we're trying to reach. We know what the goals are. If you are giving them generic tasks, expect a generic outcome. If you're expecting them to be you, expect to be disappointed. Um, and just if you need to let them go as fast, let them go faster than you think. Okay. One of the biggest mistakes you
Yeah.
may make is holding on too long. Just like we hold on to other things in the business, sometimes you hold on to people too long.
Yes.
When someone shows you who they are, their performance is what it is, and you keep getting the same performance, you keep trying to fix that performance. Sometimes the thing that needs to happen is thank you, this is no longer a fit, and move on to the next. Simple as that.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, so Merritt had another question, and she's been switching lanes. So she's been doing sales training for a long time, and now she's doing something entirely new and without a track record in a new space. She's wanting to grow and wanting to create consistent revenue to bring people in to support her. So she's in this whole new space. And we can happen that can happen as we're growing our businesses, as we get to a certain level, we switch up our business. I mean, how many times have you guys all switched up your own businesses, right? I've switched my, different levels of what I do and who I serve and how I serve. So there's these big changes. What advice might you guys give to Merritt as far as, what's coming to mind for me, Merritt, as I'm reading through this is like you're rebuilding some new foundations here, is what I'm seeing here. Is that you're in the space of creating new foundations for your community, for who you serve, and how you're messaging. So you're at the base of rebuilding the foundations, but you've got incredible experience that you have built over the years that you get to pull through. What's the through line that you get to pull through that helps build your credibility? So that's part of what I'm seeing here. Who else would like to jump in on this one for Merit?
I will. Um,
Okay.
I love that you said the through line. When we're shifting, especially if you have the experience, you've been doing something, you've already proven a
Yeah.
concept before. So I love to tell my clients, you're not a baby at this. You are just newly positioning yourself. So in that new positioning, your messaging is shifting, your approach may be shifting, maybe the offer is shifting, but don't downplay your authority
Yeah.
just because you see a new space for yourself. What you need to do is just position yourself for this new level, but hold that authority more than anything. Because if you approach it as, I'm new, this is different, I haven't done this before, people will believe that performance
You're
and they'll
weakening your
treat you
authority.
as if.
Yeah.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
definitely weakening. So you
Yeah.
have to stand in. I have this many, like you heard 30 years. I've been in this space for 30 years. Even if I've shifted my audience, you've been in this space for 30 years. You've done the work. Don't downplay it.
Yeah. Sheena, you were going to add something.
Oh, I was gonna kind of say a similar thing. Like, just because it's new doesn't mean that nothing that you learned before is relevant, right? So it's like, I had a construction company for 10 years. That doesn't mean that now as a accounting business owner, there's nothing that doesn't overlap because I did accounting in a construction company and I made that business super profitable and super successful. And then when I exited it, I went full time into just my accounting firm, but there was so much overlap. So you just really have to focus on that. So I think, you're kind of psyching yourself out and saying, oh, it's all brand new when really it's a new offer and maybe a new ideal client, all that stuff, but the principles of everything remain the same. And so if you
Mhm.
were successful in sales training before, you just have to take those same principles and then bridge them into what you're doing now.
Awesome. Marky, do you want to add to
Yeah.
that?
So I'm going to give you an analogy. If I had a jug of water that was full of muddy water and I wanted clean water in it, I could take it and I could just dump it out and put clean water in. But that's really not how most change occurs. Most change occurs by adding clean water into the dirty water. So if this is muddy water and I then add clean water into it, it'll flush out the dirty water over time. Excuse me. And so real change happens by adding new things into what we're doing. And you never really get rid of all the particles of dirt. In fact, some of the glistening little bits of the dirt that are left over are the jewels and the gems that the bits that were really helpful and valuable. And so when we think about change as being something that's a complete, 180, that's almost impossible as a human to do. That's just not how we're built. So I recommend that you start adding new things in and letting it flush out the things that no longer serve. And I love what Sheena just said about if you have all that experience in sales, like it's never going to be a disservice. I say to my clients, your background is never a disservice to you. It'll always, always, always be helpful to you, whatever you do next, because it'll make you better at whatever you're doing next. And, I've always coached entrepreneurs, but I didn't do it as my primary focus until about 7 years ago when I really shifted because I wanted to work with more people who had more agency. And I have a lot to say about that because I've been a solopreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years and I've always worked with them. I just didn't have it as my primary focus. So I have a lot of authority, like Shayla said, but I don't necessarily have to tell people, oh, just 7 years ago, I decided to do this. This is what I do. And so
Yeah.
I think it's claiming that's for yourself. And that helps a lot as you age and you just own your authority better when you age.
Yeah, so good, so good. Okay, I have two other questions, but we don't have time to go through all of them, all three of you on both questions. So I'm just going to popcorn these really quickly. This is from Gwen. She said, I'm earlier in my business. How can I build a strong foundation now that becomes the right springboard for future growth and expansion? Does one of you want to grab that one?
I'm sorry, do you want to,
Yeah, just one person to reply to this one. If you had, so I'm earlier in my business, how can I build a strong foundation now that becomes the right springboard for future growth and expansion? Do-
I'll
Go
take
ahead,
a go
Marky.
at it.
Yeah.
So I think that to focus first of all on the people that you want to be serving. Find
Hmm.
the people that you want to be serving because when you know who they are, then you know what you'll quickly find out what their needs are, and that will help you and it'll inform you about more about what you want to be offering. For me, I always focus on the people rather than what do I want to offer. It's who do I want to work with? Because once I know who those are, then I know how to adjust what the expertise and the skill and all the stuff that I have to offer into the language that will make a difference for them.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And then the second one is from Laura. What shifts help a business evolve from relying heavily on your personal time, energy, and presence into a more scalable model? Sheena, do you want to take that?
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest shift is team.
Yeah.
You have to start with, start with one, somebody who's gonna be your right-hand person, or for me, I started with a bookkeeper so that I didn't have to do that anymore. Oh, thank God. And
Me too. That
just
was my first one too.
right. Well, I mean, I do books, but I didn't want to do it anymore. And I have a team for that. Just starting out with that team, and then because really, there's a book called Who Not How, which is a really great book, and everyone should read it. And it's for a reason because it's really about the who, because you cannot scale alone. You can go fast alone, you can go far together. So you really have to create that team so that you can go far with them.
Okay, awesome. And Shayla, do you want to add one thing to either one of those questions?
I would say for the first question, the foundation piece,
Uh-huh.
very good answer. I also like to tell my people part of your foundation is your framework. Whatever you're building your business around, that thing that you're offering, teaching, or
Yes.
doing for people, really honor the framework, stay within the boundaries of the framework. When you go outside of it, that's where scope creep happens, that's where
Yeah.
problems occur. If you within the boundaries of it, you'll keep business cleaner.
Awesome. That's great advice. I love framework work. It's definitely makes our businesses simpler, right? Okay, so the final question I have for you guys is for the woman feeling this shift of, they're going into that next level of their business, what is one decision they can make in the next 60 to 90 days to realign their businesses with where they're being called to lead? And then also let everyone know where they can connect with you. So Sheena, do you want to kick us off on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the opportunity for your business is whatever you want it to be. And that's kind of freaky, right? But this is a choose your own adventure. Do you guys remember those books? I love those books. But our
Mhm.
whole lives as business owners is a choose your own adventure.
Mm,
And we get to decide, which is scary and exciting all at the same time. And we get to decide what we want it to look like. We get to decide what offers we're bringing to the world. We get to decide who's on our team. We get to decide how much we charge for it. We get to decide everything because we're the owner, we're in charge.
that's
So
awesome.
take
That's
that as scary or exciting. It's honestly in your body, it's the same exact chemicals. So decide that it's exciting because that's a decision you get to make. And if anyone wants to connect with me, I am Sheena. I'm at Your Pocket CFO. everywhere. And so I'm your Pocket CFO, and that's what I do. Yes,
Thank you.
yourpocketcfo.com, your Pocket CFO on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on everything. I kept it simple.
Awesome. 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 Thank you, Sheena. How about you, Shayla?
I'm going to say resist, resist, resist. Resist the urge to expand quickly. Resist. You have to pause, ask yourself the question, what part of my business is no longer aligned with where I want to go? And if you cannot answer that question, do not expand. Because if you do decide to expand without dealing with you and all the pieces that we discussed before, it's going to fail. It won't be a fun journey. You may make money, but you won't feel excited about it. And everything that I do needs to bring joy to me. I get joy in serving, I get joy in being able to take care of myself, my family. And if I no longer feel joy in this path, I need to pause and figure out why and realign things so that joy can still be a standard for me. So you can find me online at Shayla Boyd Gill. That's BOYD hyphen GILL. The website, I see that in the chat now. And in most platforms, you'll find me under Shayla Boyd Gill.
Thank you, Shayla.
You're welcome.
Marky.
Okay, so oh my gosh, I had something brilliant I was going to say, and then I got carried away with what Shayla said. I'm going to say that first of all, we're at the midpoint. We're almost at the midpoint of the year, so it's a really great time to check in about the things that you had in mind in the beginning of the year, and I want you to stop shooting on yourself. So let go of all the shoulds. So often when we create goals and we create big visions, it's actually a list of shoulds and tasks rather than things that inspire us and that we aspire to. So stop shitting on yourself and allow yourself to really find that joy, in what you're doing, reconnect with that. And if you haven't been paying yourself, then pay yourself. Make sure you are paying yourself appropriately and take some vacation, take some time because summer is upon us. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm in the Northeast and it's a quick summer for us. So it's time to enjoy the sunshine and get out of the offices and not work from sun up to sundown because that's a very long day in the summer. So
Yes.
stop shooting on yourself.
And where can they find you, Marky?
Oh, I'm at Marquee Reed. And as far as I know, I'm the only Marquee Reed on the planet, and that's READ, MARKEYREAD, Marquee at mrgrp-us.com. And my website is in the chat right now. So I look forward to connecting with you all and helping you on your journey.
Thank you so much. So my last point that I'm going to bring to you guys is you can't work your way out of overwhelm. You can simplify out of overwhelm. And so really simplify. Look for ways to simplify your business. Look at are there some products that you can simplify? Can you simplify in your market? Can you simplify in the way you're marketing? And I think simpler you make your business, the more profitable it's going to be and the more scalable it is. So that's the power of that. The other thing I'll say is I'm going to be doing a Simplify to Multiply event next month. It's called Simplify to Multiply More Time and More Dollars in Your Business. And Jessica will drop in the chat for where you can sign up for that. And then also there's a prosperity audit if you guys are wanting to go deeper into to any of this that we're talking about, like how do you really build these foundations in your business, how you're growing your marketing, how you're attracting more clients into your business. I have a prosperity audit that you can sign up with me, and we look at the foundations of your business, the vision, voice, and visibility, which my three pillars that I look at when I'm looking at like what are we tweaking in your business, and that's where you can sign up to do that as well. Jessica has dropped that in. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our panel for being so amazing and bringing so much expertise. You guys brought so many good wisdom drops all throughout. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone who joined us today. So with that, we're going to sign off and say bye, and we'll see you next time. Talk to you later. Bye.
Great to see you all.
Okay, bye.